His wife was a part of us, grew up in the church here, and so it's one of our own that is sharing. And in Taiwan, they're a few hours ahead of us, and but we're going to hear from him tonight, and it's always good to have them back every couple of years, I think it is. But they're here. He's here. And I'm looking forward to him sharing what God is doing. And we're still trying to get the computer out of customs, I think. Right? So I've come to the conclusion, FedEx may be wonderful here, but it's not wonderful in Taiwan. But we'll get it. They'll get it. But this we had shared about, or some have been aware of a need for them, and a computer was brought to us, and our missions. We got a computer and sent it to be a blessing, and it's not the blessing yet that we want it to be, but it'll happen. We'll get it and get it taken care of. But it is good to have Brother Joseph with us, and he'll be sharing to us tonight, updated what's going on in their ministry there in Taiwan. God bless you, Brother Joseph. Share with us tonight.
Second, that it's always weird to be here without her. Mostly, everybody asks me why. 3 reasons, really. The main reason, was her, as we mentioned, her health is not so good, and she was afraid taking the trip with her arm, it would just make the swelling worse. So she decided to stay. The second reason was really not that important. A couple years ago, it was actually on April Fool's Day, God gave us a gift of fools, I guess, and gave us 3 cats now. So before we had 0, and God decided we needed more, and he gave us 3 that are very young, very naughty, but we love them anyway, and Alita's taking care of them. They're like our children. The main reason, though, is it's a little expensive, and I'll explain more with the government, but even though, like, I am totally vaccinated now, I have both shots. When I go back, I have to spend 2 weeks totally by myself in what they call a quarantine hotel, where they will just knock on my door and give me meals, 3 meals a day, and that's the only contact I will ever have, besides other things like my cell phone. So it's a requirement of the government. There's nothing you can do about it. It is required, so, of every visitor who comes. So is there, and then even after I do 2 weeks of that, I have to spend 1 more week, at least with Alita, but in total what's called self-isolation, where it's only Alita and I can't even go out. We can't go out of our apartment for another week. You know, people have to bring us food and everything. So I'll be heading back on the 12th, but I have to then spend 3 weeks in isolation by government regulation, government rules. And also the government has said, even though we were married, if we had come here and gone back, we would have had to have separate rooms. By the way, you have to pay for your own quarantine. Isn't that nice of our government over there, that you actually have to pay for the hotel? They will not pay anything for you, even though you live there. So it's just their rules, the way they are. So we would have had to spend, money for me for 2 weeks at a hotel, and then money for 2 weeks for her. And it's just, right now, those are just expenses we cannot afford. So that was the main reason she didn't come. She really, really wanted to. She misses all of you very much. She calls me on my cell phone, which is over here often, even though it costs her money. And yeah, she expresses her regrets. She really, really misses all of you as her family. And hopefully, God willing, right, always God willing, she will be here next year. So we will try our best. So next year. It's been actually 3 years for us this time. As all of you know, there was a certain little problem last year. You all know about it. And it hit us too and stopped, of course, world travel everywhere. So just a few, mostly the pastor wanted me to update. One very quick update. Some of you remember Alita shared about a young friend of ours named Dave, who had some kind of social problems, but but he was a believer, and as he grew in the Lord, he became a real person on fire for God, would always evangelize and share the gospel. And at first, when we first got to know him, he would change his hair color like every week. But finally, he had 2 women pastors who told him that a Christian doesn't do that, so he didn't do it anymore. So that's always good. Anyway, he would always go out with us on holidays. So it was actually January 1st, 2019. He went out with us for the day with 2 friends of ours, and Alita and I. We had a great day, and our friend just kept telling us, what a good day, and what a good day. And sorry, I get a little emotional here, because that night the Lord called him home. So, and he was only like 30 years old. He had had a heart problem, and yeah, God called him home. So we miss our friend every day, especially in holidays. But Alita had shared about him before, so I wanted you to know that he is with the Lord now. But none of his family are Christians, and we had wonderful memorial services, and they thanked us profusely, especially us for being Dave's friends. So hopefully, right, that plants a seed in his family. But we miss him every day. A few things for me quickly with health. 2 years ago, because of my diabetes, I have a weakness in my left leg. It is vulnerable to what's called bacterial infection. Normally, I just take antibiotics, sorry about that, and they treat it, and I also have a doctor who helps to treat it, who will give me injections. But one time I got it in the middle of the night, and I had to go to the hospital, and they kept me for 10 days with this infection. And I got it for, I didn't want to stay there, but they kept telling me, well, this number is high, this number is high. You know how hospitals are. And I even have a little scar on my hand here as a gift from them, because I think they kind of use the same needle over and over. I don't know. They were not a high-class hospital, and I just wanted out of there. So finally, after 10 days, I got to go home, and I was very happy about that. So I just have to be careful about it and keep it clean and everything. Last year then, thankfully it was just before the pandemic hit, I had trouble for years with my gallbladder, and I went to a better hospital, and they told me, because I was feeling pain, and they told me it was full of the stones that you cannot treat, and they said, their word, operation. And I'm like, okay. Before I had been told that they would have this huge 10-foot scar, 10-inch scar, yeah, 10 foot, and we would all be dead, 10-inch scar on my stomach. But this other hospital said it's just going to be 4 little holes in you, and we'll take it out. And I agreed, because I just didn't want to feel pain anymore, and they did it. Anyway, we went like the day before, checked in, and then we had a very good, our church secretary helped us a lot. We thank her a lot. That next morning, early in the morning, they woke me up. I had the surgery early in the morning. This was, I think it was like a Friday, surrounded by 2 women doctors and women nurses and me. So that was an interesting experience, but I didn't remember any of it. They gave me, the anesthesia. I counted down like five numbers, and I was asleep. So the next thing I remember is 5 hours later, Alita's trying to get me to get up, because the doctors, want you to get up. Even though it was painful, I got up, I walked around, and a real praise for the Lord is the very next day, I was out of the hospital. So after 2 days with what we call kind of major surgery, I was home. And it's all healed now. There's just 4 little marks on my body. I won't show you, don't worry. So, and they are, everything's fine. I just have to kind of watch what I eat, especially like pizza. I love pizza, but now pizza does not love me. So I can't eat it anymore, unfortunately. So certain things like that I can't eat anymore. That's about it. Otherwise, yes, God has given us good health, good doctors, and just have to keep at it and keep trying, especially as I have 2 weeks of isolation. That should be very, very interesting. Now, especially some church, very quick church updates, just like your church. Actually, a little map here. Let's do a little map if we can find it there. There it is. That's Taiwan. That's what it looks like. It looks kind of like a leaf. I don't know what tree, but it looks like a leaf. One of the trees of the world somewhere. You see this you see at the top of the map in the north, you see this pink. Between the pink is blue. That's where I live. I live in this kind of light blue area between the pink areas there. And Taiwan has changed kind of its government, is that even though it's a county, it's called a city. So the entire county is one city with what they call districts. So we live in one district of our city. And with millions and millions of people in it, by the way. I know Alita told you, for those of you who are new, Taiwan is, sorry, I have to do kilometers, is 700 kilometers to go around the whole island. You can actually do it in one day by train, actually. But Alita said before, it would be like, she said there are 3 Taiwans can fit inside Pennsylvania. So that gives you a hint of our size. So, so like we're Franklin, right? Western PA would be 1 Taiwan, middle PA, Taiwan 2, and Eastern PA, Taiwan 3. The best way to describe it is it's about the size of New Jersey. So any of you ever been to New Jersey? It's like that. Size-wise, somebody was just asking me as far as it is we call a subtropical island. I know it's hard to see. In the south, there's a line cutting across one of the tropical lines. And so to the south of that, it's more tropical. We live in the north. It's still very hot right now there every day and humid. But the trees are more kind of like your trees. The next map, so I can show you where it is. You see, Taiwan is off the coast of China. I think you all kind of know that. And it's called East Asia. It's separated by a body of water called the Taiwan Strait, which right now, I'm sure you hear is kind of one of those flashpoints of the world. It's very interesting. I don't know which news organization talked about it, but they have called Taiwan the most dangerous place in the world. The best way I can describe it is the people of Taiwan just kind of choose to ignore all the things that China does, because just like here in America, if you don't, you're always afraid and you go nuts, right? You go insane. So Taiwan, right, has 2 choices: fear and craziness, or ignore it and live our lives. And they choose option number 2 for now. And they try their best to, remind